good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages. Welcome to something different, something new, something same, something us. UTR presents Bad Blood. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. It's I, your boy, Bites Down Boogie. And with this podcast, we're going to be going over um, the new TV series, Anne Rice's Interview with a Vampire. Now, vampirism or vampire, whatever you want to call it, is something that, is part of the horror genre. And it's something that my co host knows a lot about. Ladies and gentlemen, you know him as the man behind the boards. Give it up for my man Clangin and Fangin.
What's going on, folks? Yeah. We were talking about other vampire stuff earlier this year. I think I talked about 30 Days a Night.
Yeah,
And you said
that's a
you were a big fan of that.
yeah, big fan of that movie. Big fan of that movie. I'm a fan of vampire movies over. I'm a fan of vampires overall. Like, don't get me wrong, a good werewolf is cool and stuff like that. But like I said, man, I'm not down with having my bones break every single time I need to turn into what I need to do. All
Right.
right,
Right.
I'm not down
Like
with that.
you like one day of sickness and all of a sudden you can hear colors and see sound.
Right, like I'm good
It's
with
like
that. I'm moving at the fast. Like I'm forever rich because there's never a broke vampire. If you're a broke
never.
vampire, then just walk into the sun.
Yeah, you're doing something wrong. You're failing. You're failing on a couple different fronts if you're not the richest motherfucker in your town. You're a
Right,
vampire.
owning some estate somewhere that no one is allowed to go on. If that's not happening in your life, then you're doing something terrible as a vampire. Just wait for 8 a.m. and walk into the sun. All
How about
right.
a Strahd the vampire? He lives on the street and begs for change. Like, what the fuck happened to Strahd? What do you mean? Begs? What do you mean he begs for? He's a vampire.
Right. Like, is this guy serious right now? Like, who's his maker? You let this
You know
shit
he's
go down?
you know his maker's pissed. Like that motherfucker. I now look bad because of you. Like, yeah.
Everyone else in the coven is good, but you, but you. But yeah, I've always been a fan of vampire stuff. I'm a big fan of the Underworld series.
Oh yeah. Mhm.
You know, um, Dust Till Dawn. From Dust Till Dawn is one of my all-time favorite movies.
Oh, that
I
movie's fantastic. Holy
like.
shit.
I love everything about that movie, from
Hmm.
the comedy aspect to the film directorial aspect, everything. But
To what's her name? The Queen of Vampire. Whew. Whew.
to Salma, oh yeah,
Mhm.
hmm
My
hmm
God.
yeah.
And then we're,
Never,
we're talking about Queen of the Dam the other day, which is a continuation of this story.
hmm
Which is another great movie. So like us two of us here, we're pretty big vampire geeks.
pretty much.
So when this got announced, we both were like, okay, all right,
Because
you know what?
I'll give it a try because I'm a fan of the actual old. I'm a fan of the movie that came out in the '90s.
Yeah.
The one with Brad Pitt as Louis. You had Tom Cruise as Lestat. You had Kirsten Dunst as Claudia. You had Antonio Banderas. I forgot what Antonio Banderas' name was in that. I want to say Antonio. I want to say Antonio or something like that. So you had an all-star cast at the time of what was considered the '90s pretty boys, of the prettiest men on earth at the time. And with this one,
Started with an A. I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure it was. It might have been Antonio. It might have been something else. But I know it started with an A.
right, it definitely started with an A. It might have been Antonio. He might have been like, I ain't changing my name,
Just
especially
call
with
me
them.
what you're gonna call me.
Right, especially with them terrible ass wigs you got me wearing. Antonio Banderas had the worst wig ever in that goddamn movie. That was a Tyler Perry special before we knew what it was. All right. That was a Tyler Perry special before we knew what it was. But so it's this TV show. Armand. Thank
That's
you.
it. Yeah.
Thank you. And thank you for joining us. Armand. I knew it was something with an A. He was like, no, I ain't veering off too far from my normal. So with this TV show, we're basing it off of the movie and the book series. The books are amazing as well if you do get a chance to read those. There's quite a few in the series with as far as the start, and you keep going, blah blah blah. But we're starting off with the first one, I guess. Interview with the Vampire. Interview with the Vampire is about Louis, Louis de la Pont. Look who decided to show up.
Yeah. Talking about yesterday. We'll get to it.
We'll get to
I'll
it. We'll
get to
get to it. We'll get to it. So look who decided. I'm like, see, now you done took me off. We're talking. The story is about Louis de Pont. Louis is in the movie. Louis is Brad Pitt, a white man. In the TV show, Louis is, if you watch Game of Thrones, my man Grey Worm, a black dude. So when I first saw the image of in the trailer for it, it threw me off a little bit. And I was talking to Mongo, and I was like, I wonder how they're gonna play this off because in the movie, Louis owned a plantation, and the slaves kind of like revolted and burned him down. And then that's when he revealed to them that he says he's the devil and stuff like that because he winds up eating one of the slaves. So me and Marco both were like, I wonder how this is going to play out. Well, what they did was they turned Louis from the slave man into Louis Pimp Daddy. They turned Louis into the man with his hands in everything in this little strip where there's everything going on. I'm talking gambling. I'm talking whorehouses. I'm talking diners. I'm talking bars. There's everything going on this strip, and Louis is the man behind the master plan. Your man, everybody else is walking, and Louis is the only person with a whip down the street collecting money from people. Okay, your man Louis is
First scene we see him that in that flashback is him pulling up.
right.
Where's my money?
First thing we see. Now the story. Now what's going on during the premise of this story is it's now current modern day time, 2022, and he is now living in Dubai because, as we said, if you're not a rich fucking vampire, you're doing something wrong. Louis is super fucking rich, living in like the highest, classiest hotel in Dubai. He has a human servant who helps him out. Okay, so and he's having an interview with a news reporter. Now, this isn't their first encounter with each other. They had an encounter where they had an interview going on back in 1977, but this time Louis is redoing the interview from a different perspective, giving more details of his encounter. The thing with Louis is a vampire. He acknowledges he's a vampire. With Louis has an internal struggle because Louis cannot let go of being human. And we'll see how that plays off later on into the story and what's going on with that. Now, so the whole premise of the show is Louis giving an interview recounting his life and things of that nature, and you get these flashbacks. And like Mongo said, the first scene we get of a flashback, Louis pulling up on the block in the brand new T model. Brand new T model drop top. Louis pulling up like, hey, beep beep. Where that money at? Louis Louis is Sugar, Richard Pryor from fucking Harlem Nights. Okay, he got the gambling spot. He got the booze spot. He got the hoes because the hoes is paying him to. He's walking up, pulling up, pulling up to the different saloons on the block, getting money from them. Louis has this on lock. Louis also a very big family man, and in this scene, as he's pulling up on the block, we see a certain gentleman who is preaching God and trying to get everyone to turn away from everything that they're doing on this one particular block. This particular block is like 42nd Street back in like the 80s and 90s. Okay, it's like the red light district in Amsterdam. This particular block, and you got this one guy with a Bible in his hand trying to get people to change what they're doing. Come to find out, that's Louis's brother. Louis, of course, doesn't want to hurt his brother, but his brother lays a good little jab on him though.
After preaching to one of Louis' whores, which she's like, "We're not doing this again. We're not doing this again." No, like how often does he walk up to this same woman to be like,
You ain't got to sell your pussy like that. You ain't got to do it.
"You can serve the Lord instead"? Like I've been telling you for the past 6 months,
Stop
every night.
making money. So Louis' brother gives him a quick jab. Louis has to keep face because he's the man on the block. Pulls a knife on his brother, tells him to go home. During this time when the interaction is happening, you see a mysterious, tall, blonde, white male watching Louis from afar. This we find out is Lestat. Now, one thing, I since this show was on AMC, I haven't watched a lot of AMC shows, so I asked Mongo when I saw the credit, would I be seeing anything? Because the credit said brief nudity, foul language, and I said brief nudity. This is regular television. The hell it mean? Mongo, what's going on? Mongo tells me, it's like semi-cable. It ain't gonna be nothing big. You're not gonna see any dicks or nothing. You're not gonna see any dinglings or nothing like that. Like you might catch a quick flash of a butt cheek. And I'm like, okay, cool. Louis goes into his favorite whorehouse to go see Miss Lily, his favorite hoe, and I'm looking at nipple. I said, Mondo, you a fucking liar.
In my defense, it's been a while since I watched AMC TV. I dropped off Walking Dead years ago. Last time I was like really into it was when Breaking Bad was on. That's a long time ago. So
All right, and
eh, my bad.
I said, Mongo, you a fucking liar, yo. I'm looking at a damn titty right now. And he's like, yeah, okay, whatever. Mongo watched the shows a couple of days after me. Mongo was like, holy shit, you weren't lying. He also said, holy shit, I wasn't lying because of something I'm about to get into. Now, I told you that Louis is pretty much the man behind the scenes. Louis is one of the few during this time. This is during the prohibition time, and this when black people pretty much have no rights. Okay, they're still being called boy, they're still shining shoes. No, 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 no. Oh, don't worry, don't worry. Don't worry.
Yeah,
Don't worry.
we'll get
Don't
there.
worry. I ain't finished. I ain't
Um,
finished.
but like you were saying, he walks into this whorehouse and he finds one of this like more higher up person of the city bleeding out of his head.
Because he got busted in the head for trying to put it in the sick girl's booty hole. She said, "You
Yeah,
don't just go in
they ain't
without
no way to they don't want to get around that. She just flat out said he tried to put it in my ass.
right." He tried to put it in my ass. Said I might have let her, but it was just going in there without asking nobody. She done cracked the man in the head with a bottle.
I think she
So
also
this
said that she gave him her leftovers, which is like
worked.
what? And then Louis pulls back the sheet, and I don't know what he saw, but
Basically with him putting it. Basically, he threw it in her ass and she shit it on his dick.
and then cracked him in the skull.
Right. She gave
That
him the
was
double whammy.
this is 10 minutes in, and I'm like, oh shit! All right, this is gonna be a little different.
Right. I'm like,
It's gonna be a little different.
This is definitely not what I'm used to, but we're gonna try this. We're gonna try this out. This is all right now. So yeah, this city official. So Louis, being the man that he is, tells him to go get the doctor, tells him to stitch him up, keep things quiet, however it may be. During
He
this
sits
time,
down the guy try to like help clean him up.
hmm
And man does not take kindly to it.
right, you get your hand off me, boy. Watch
Mhm.
that boy talk. Watch
I
that
don't,
boy
I
talk.
don't, I don't, I don't think he said boy. I think he said something else.
Yeah, he
And
called him a
he's like,
craven.
he got him craving. And then what he said? You better be careful before uh, something about before his hospitality changes into something. Like I can't remember exactly how he said it. It was a good threat. Louis has a lot of good threats in this series, which we'll get
Louis,
into.
Louis is a threat. Okay,
Is a threat.
Louis is a threat. Now, during this time, like we said, Louis is going door to door collecting payments and stuff like that. And Louis decides he wants to go see his favorite whore. During the time of him going to see, no, you ain't getting my man kicked off of fucking no.
I'm good. I'm cool. I'm all right. I'm good.
What you call. So during this time, the stat pulls up because usually the stat is the big roller, so he usually gets Miss Lily. And no matter who has Miss Lily, he usually has more money than them, so he's always going to end up with Miss Lily. Well, guess what, Louis? Le stat, le stat de whatever his fuck his name. Le stat your man said it like that fast. Nobody can understand that shit. He said, "Madam, me, my salad, blah, 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 blah." I'm like, oh, so this is why they say vampires,
Let's
blah, 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 blah,
let's
blah.
let's Lestat did Lion Court. I think is his name. But the way he says it, because he has that accent, it does sound. It took
It
me.
is the stat that line core, but
But it's
it's
the
the
way
way he
he
says
says it.
it's the stat. It's like what? This is why they think vampires go blah 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 blah. Because of you, Lestat. Because of you. Lestat
The fame,
definitely
man. Fame's getting away with the tongue. Couldn't figure the word.
what you call it. So Lestat is a Frenchman with tons of money. Okay. And he is blatantly flaunting that he is going to have Lily in front of Louis. Pretty much throwing down more money. He threw down like a stack.
Yeah, and Louis throws back another stack, and the stack's like, all right, takes off a ring,
Beep.
places it on the table.
Then looks
That's
at him
it.
and says, game over. Game over. He's openly rubbing on Lily, flirting with Lily directly in front of Lestat. And at this time, he puts a spell on Lestat too, but Lestat really can't move. So he has to just sit there and watch it.
And Louis is talking to God, what's that guys? Daniel Malloy.
Yes.
In present time, he's talking about. In that moment, I wanted to stake out my knife and slice this man's neck open. But
And
for whatever reason, I just could not move. I was just seething in anger. I could not move.
then
Gives
he
you a
also
reason
said
to move.
he was had a little spell put up, but he was also in admiration of
Hmm.
Lestat. See, we find out later on. There's a little secret about Louis that we find out later on. Louis, for some odd reason, is finding himself hating this man and yet having an attraction to this man at the same time, and he can't put his finger on it to understand what's going on. Well, like I said, he got the whammy put on him. All right, so Louis is pretty much enthralled with this man. Now, Louis also is very big with his family, who is very big into church. You could tell by his mother, who's played by Radon Chung. Um, she has them going to church and stuff like that. His
She's great, by
brother.
the way. She's fantastic in this role. Love it. Shut up.
Thank you, Justin. We love you. Thank you, Jay Boogie. We
Just,
appreciate it.
Justin just looks in the mirror like, "What I fuck me? I fuck.
I do me. I'd fuck me so
I do
hard.
me."
That's Justin in his house with the lipstick. That's Justin, but Louis is very big into his family, and his sister is getting engaged, and Louis' brother does not fuck with the fiance. He is not feeling my man, yo.
Hates him.
He is not. First off, everybody thinks Louis' brother is on the spectrum. He is, but he has very clear moments. And his clearest moment is his hate for this fiance.
He's using everything he has to hate this dude for no reason. Really. I mean, like the dude seems fine. I don't think we've ever seen a reason.
Right, like
Like
everybody seems like,
anytime you see this guy on this show, he just seems like a regular dude.
hey, he's
Like
trying to just protect his family, do what's best for his family and everything like that. He ain't doing much. But the brother
this
hates
brother
him.
hates him so
It's
much.
it's it's Jimmy is giving Jay and Sammy vibes. Okay, that's exactly what it's giving. It's giving Jay and Sammy vibes. All right.
If you hear from the wrestling podcast, yeah, it's a great example.
So your man, your man calls Radon Charm mom. Louis' brother said that ain't your mama. Like he just played it simple, just like not with it.
Oh, Paul just can't get over it.
Just can't get over it. Now during this time, they're about to get married and everything. So yeah, that really is you for no reason whatsoever.
It's like
But
he's like start shit. To be
right,
honest.
so right, hit him with the "she'll never be your side." Like whatever. Like I said, people think Paul is on the spectrum, and he is. But his moments of clarity is for hate. Okay,
He's a full blown hater and nothing else.
right. If you look up the definition of hate, it's Paul sitting there like now. Like I said, Louis also has his hand in everything that's going around. So Louis also, because of that, gets invited to the secret card games where the people who are the movers and the shakers of the town get to go to. That's gonna get you. Someone's gonna swipe right on you for sure.
For damn sure. For damn
So
sure.
Louis gets invited to the card games because of who he is and what he has done for these people in high places behind closed doors. So we
And
see that,
what's this fucking town? Storyville?
yeah.
Storyville, yeah. Okay.
So he, in this particular card game, you see that politician who got busted in the head there. You see another couple of movers and shakers, and you also see, I believe, the police chief and stuff like that. You see everybody who is important at this card game, and Louis.
Mm-hmm.
So just from that at the time, like we said, this is still a very racist time. You know they treat Louis with respect, but it's
But
sarcastic respect.
they
Like
I think in this scene they make an offer to him that he knows is like below him.
right,
But because of the situation and the time, he's like,
He's like,
Appreciate the offer. Hmm.
I think mighty fine offer for you, mighty fine offer from, and he says sir to them.
Hmm.
He says sir to them. But at this particular poker game, guess who shows up? Oh,
Oh,
Lestat, blah 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 blah. Okay, and during this time during the poker game, Lestat reveals something to Louis. He starts talking to him in his mind. He starts talking to Lestat in his mind.
and
To
he
Louis in his
tells
mind.
Louis,
You know that
uh,
they're belittling you. You know they think less of you because of your color. Why are you taking this deal? You are so much more than this.
and then he does something that is I love that anytime I read or watch vampire stuff. This is one of my favorite things that ever happens. He freezes time, like time doesn't
Hmm.
slow down; it stops towards just Louis and Lestat being able to look around and move and talk. Lestat takes a card from one of the other guy's hands, hands it over, swap it back.
Gave Louis the good, the good full house. Took
Louis takes it.
all their money.
Hmm.
Louis went home a winner chicken dinner.
And this is
They were
something that
not happy.
they were not, and this is something that apparently keeps going on. I don't think Lestat's at every card game going forward, but I think this kind of shows that like Louis was not seriously playing cards with him.
Hmm.
But now that he starts to get a bit of a different mindset, there's a point where they say, "Oh, we liked it better when you let us win."
Win right.
Hmm.
Hmm. So Lestat is little to Louis' knowledge. Lestat is pretty much courting him and preying on him.
He damn sure was. He
Yo,
damn sure was.
but you know what? Here's the thing. He was too cool about it, but at the same time, when you run in every kind of whorehouse and every kind of bar and saloon, you done seen a lot of shit. All right? Think about it. You just walked in on a politician with a shitty dick that's bleeding because he tried to stick it in a hoe's ass without her permission.
Yeah, but
You just-
also, I mean, time literally stopped. Like I'd have peed a little bit, just like a little, just to.
First of all,
There.
first of all, the fact that nobody is finding anything weird about Lestat's eyes.
Oh
He's
yeah.
not he's not walking around with fucking shades on like Louis
So what
has to
Louis
later on.
does, yeah, Louis, the second his eyes change, Louis is always wearing sunglasses.
Right. He's not like Louis. So soon as my first time I seen my man, I'd have been like, mm, "You albino?
Hmm.
No? Okay, all right. Something wrong with him." Next. So I wouldn't even made it to the stop, to the telepathy and the time stopping. I wouldn't have made it to that because that'd have been a little too freaky for me. And then the fact that you didn't took my favorite hole. Oh nah, we wouldn't have made it to that point. Cause I bust you in the head with a bottle as soon as I became unfrozen when you walked away with my lily. Right? So you'd have ate me immediately because you wouldn't have
But
liked me.
but you would have got a shot at. Yeah, that's what you're saying. You would have got a shot.
I'd have got one shot in.
Yeah,
I'd have got a
which
shot in. It wouldn't have
going
been a
down
good
swinging.
one. Right. It wouldn't have been a good one. I'd have been turned into a damn drumstick afterwards. But you know what? Fuck it. You ain't just gonna disrespect me like that. I'm sorry.
Oh, it's gonna be disrespectful. He would have done to you what Claudia did to old boy. When we get to
Oh my god. So
that.
now, folks, I just want to know right now if you are watching the series, they're four episodes in. So we're gonna try to condense 4 episodes in real quick for this episode for y'all. Now we get to the part where Lestat finally is in his final seduction of Louis. He has Miss Lily there.
Yeah.
He has Lily there. It's Miss Lily Lestat. And they sitting there drinking, and Lestat once again puts a little whammy jammy on Louis, so Louis can't move, and he's pretty much watching Lestat turn Miss Lily on. Now, going back to this question. Going back to this question. Are you ready? Going back to this question and this question. Now, remember I asked Mongo what was I gonna see on here? I wasn't expecting much. You know, the stat finally gets himself some Louis. And when I say gets himself some Louis, I mean gets himself some Louis.
I don't know what happens to Miss. I guess Miss Lily, like he makes her pass out or something. Like
Yeah,
he like
he puts her
puts
under
her
a
to sleep.
spell. Yeah, and puts her to sleep. Gets himself some Louis. And when I mean gets himself some Louis, I mean gets himself some Louis. I text Mongo in the chat. Mongo, you a motherfucking liar. I'm looking at Louis getting it from the back while getting sucked from the back. Your man is getting fucked from the back while getting sucked from the back while floating in midair.
The old sucker fuck. Just
The whole sucking fuck.
right on prime time TV.
Right. Mongo's
Like,
like, yeah, fucking right. I'm like, dude,
yeah, so there's no way.
I'm sitting here looking at these two motherfuckers butt butterball naked, sucking and fucking. Louis is getting sucked and fucked from the back.
Like that, he's exaggerating. He's exaggerating again. No, no, you were because I didn't watch it until like a few days later, and I see shit
Randomly in the chat, I see, holy fucking shit, you weren't lying.
that you weren't like.
I said, I told you. I sat here and went, okay, they're not gonna show. They're not gonna. They doing the
And they
forbidden dance.
wasted no time. They did not. They wasted zero. The second her eyes closed, they were
The
going
second
down.
the second her eyes closed, they was bucket naked.
It
Bucket
was
naked.
immediate.
I was
From
like,
this
oh,
from this point on, Louis is under Lestat's spell, and just
complete.
like just like how Paul didn't like the man that their sister was going to marry, Paul don't like Lestat.
At all. At, Paul has moments of clarity for hate, folks. If y'all don't understand this,
Like
if y'all don't get this,
he'll say stuff, and you're like, all right, Paul, whatever, and then he'll just side sideways out of the conversation. Fuck you, and he'll go back to whatever he's doing. It's just as these moments
your man sat
where
there.
the hate
Your man was
boils
sitting there
over.
at because now at the time now
Now
Louis
Seth's hanging out with Louis at their family dinner table.
right.
Anytime there's
He hasn't technically turned Louis yet because
no,
Louis goes to his sister's wedding, which we'll talk about. We're sitting there cover this stuff. But you're right. Lestat is these two was fucking. Okay? These two is on munch and crunch time with each other.
I mean, like I said, clanging and fanging. That's what the
That's
fight
what
down
these
boogie.
two right. Right. This one you definitely.
Look. Sometimes it's just so good. Sometimes you think you're floating in there. I don't know. Maybe it's just.
uh,
I mean,
I,
look. The man's been laying pipe for like thousands of years. I think he just knows what he's doing. I don't know. I guess the experience.
after the first 200, you figure out how you can really stretch and get into the spots that you really need to. So, but right, yeah. Louis, that you definitely. Oh, first of all, I ain't never did it like no men's, and I'm sitting here kissing some menses, and now I'm butt naked floating. Oh, did you just bite me? Like, did you just bite me? Like,
It's a little kinky, a little kinky, you know.
like, oh my god. So the stat is showing up at fucking dinners. Your man Paul out the blue was like, and what is your relation to my brother again?
It just fucking comes. Like, sometimes there's like a little bit of subtlety about it. Not Paul. But I was like, who
Paul
the
got
fuck are you? Who are you?
yo.
I know this whole table. This is my blood. Who are you to anybody? It's like Jesus Christ, Paul. You
You
got
remember? You remember the movie The Ringer with Johnny Knoxville when he lied, when the boyfriend lied and said they went to get ice cream, and the one dude was like, "When the fuck did we get ice cream?" That's Paul. That's Paul. Paul is on some la 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 la. I don't fucking like you. La 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 la. Okay. What you call- Yeah, it was the blah the blah
French
blah
tip.
blah. It was the blah 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 between the
Damn,
cheeks. That's what happened. He blah 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 blah.
damn,
That's
These French know what they're doing.
these French sure can roll their tongues. Blah 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 blah.
So we get to the wedding, and
And okay,
everything's well, and
and
Louis and his brother are on the roof.
but before that, Paul pretty much let's start havoc one last time. Like, I don't even know why you're here, blah blah blah, because it's pretty much the after party now, and they're at the wedding, and they're sitting on the roof, a normal spot that they go to that you can tell when they're kids and stuff like that. They're sitting on the roof and they're talking, and Paul asks, he said, "Do you like him?" He was like talking about the sister's new husband. He asked Louis, "Do you like him?" He was like, "Yeah, he's a good man. He's gonna take care of her. He's a good man." Paul said, "I guess he'll be all right." Paul gets up
Oh,
and walks off. Hmm?
it didn't just say, he didn't say that thing, but it's like he like something in his brain clicked. And he's like, you know what? He probably will love her. Maybe he does love her.
Right.
And I don't know if you're supposed to think something else is happening here, but he earlier on he does say that man is the devil. I heard him in
Hmm.
my head,
Yeah.
which so you're like, oh, Lestat got to him.
Hmm. He got to him at the. He did get to him at that dinner table when Paul asked him who he was because Louis looked at him and said, "Not here, not with
Not
them."
here. Hmm.
He said, "Not here, not with them." So when Paul kind of, like you said, clicked and like, "Oh, you'll be all right," your man gets up and walks off the fucking roof.
I'm like Paul, 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 and he walks over and
Now, after the suck and fuck, I wasn't expecting them to show a falling brawl. I wasn't expecting them to show Paul on the ground after he done threw
like
himself off the roof.
you hear
Okay?
the thud. You hear the thud, and 9 times out of 10, when you hear the thud, like they cut to the next thing.
No.
This man's skull was cracked wide the fuck open.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, oh,
Yeah.
this show holds nothing back, no
Not
matter
a
what they do.
damn thing. The only thing they haven't showed is legit up close penetration. And I'm afraid we probably gonna get to that by season two. It would not
um,
surprise me.
so the next thing they do is they do Paul's wake and funeral,
Mhm.
um, and uh, at this point, Louis's mother blames him for Paul's death.
Yeah.
And you start to see a big divide in between them, and it gets worse because Lestat is trying to like come on to Louis during the walk to the
Well,
grave.
right. And they are not too happy about Louis being in an open relationship with a man.
No,
They are very not happy with that. They are extremely religious, and they are very not happy about that, especially mom. And like you said, she's saying you parading around town with him and stuff like that.
and
But
Louis tells Daniel that I tried to grieve for my brother, but he would not let me. From the entire time he was trying to like get deal with this, the funeral from the moment that he fell off that roof,
mhm,
that funeral was in his head. Come to me,
seducing
Louis.
him.
Come to me, Louis. Like it was, he could not give him a second to mourn because, as we get into in a little bit, Lestat and his humanity are completely broken. Like he's broken off from them
Gone.
completely. So
Mhm.
he looks at like death of a family member is nothing, not a thing to worry about.
It's like it's normal. Death is normal. Hell, I'm a killer. Why am I worried about death? Okay.
Yeah, Lestat got real clingy. He got real.
The stat was
If
on
they
some. This is mine. Yo, listen. The
if they
stat
had
fell
had
for the swirl, baby. The stat fell for the swirl, baby. What you
yeah,
expect, baby?
every show we watch together, the swirl brings it around.
The swirl. Yo, listen. UNITY. All right. World is a melting pot, baby. The stat no, that chocolate is good. So
Yeah, it's powerful. It is. It's powerful.
so we got Louis at this point telling him Louis telling Daniel Malloy that, Lestat won't let him mourn. So what does he do? He goes to Lestat. And what does Lestat do? Makes him a full on fanger banger.
Well,
They
he
bang.
tries.
Well,
After this, he runs away again, which is where we see like the full violence that you can get out of Lestat.
hmm
Because after that scene, he runs off. He goes to the church where Paul was trying to get him to go to before. He's banging on the door and it's pouring down rain. And he says, "I've been seduced by the devil." So he gets into a confession box
and
and he
Lestat turns that motherfucking priest into a KFC snack box.
he does. But before that, he's like, I'm a terrible man. I work with the whores. I run all these deals. I've been doing these things, these families that I know are bad, but it helped my family grow. And I knew what I was doing was wrong. And now I've been seduced by the devil. And help me. And while he says, like he's screaming at the top of his lungs, boom, box breaks open, priest is pulled out. And like Kenny said,
He got turned into KFC. Pretty,
I
he was
mean, he is
finger licking
like,
good.
it is 1 second between boom and Louis walking out of that box, and that man is already torn to shreds. There's blood all over the chapel. Like it did not take long at all.
And that shows you just how destructive Lestat can be. We see another instance of how destructive Lestat can be later on.
You want a few Hail Marys.
He was like,
You're gonna need to work here for a little bit. You go ahead and
mm,
go
go ahead, go. I'm gonna need you to clock on in.
ahead.
I'm gonna need you to clock on in, right? Because you're on duty right now. Because yeah, you're gonna have
Lestat
to
is
live
trying
here. Mm-mm.
to. Let's start. We got a cot in the back. Go ahead and bring your stuff. Get
Right,
ready.
right.
Let's trying to tell him like, this is what we are. This is who we are. And then another priest walks in, and he tried to leave. He's like,
Yeah,
what?
I get.
Like that gif of the baby that walks in. He's just like that's exactly what he did. He goes over to try to open the gates, and you see Lestat walking slowly, but somehow catching up to him as he's like running away.
Right,
Jason Voorhees style, just slow walking.
right.
And
Just
he's at the gates. He's trying to open the gates, and Lestat looks back at Louis, rears back.
and punches a hole through this man's facials. And I'm thinking, oh, they're not gonna show that. Ha! That was so
Sure,
wrong.
not wrong.
Kenny has been wrong on every level so far since watching this show and what
Not
AMC
only
will allow.
not only did they show you what happened, they showed you what was missing after the fact because he
They
pulls
go
his arm
show,
out.
he pulls his arm out and there's a hole this fucking big in this man's skull face that
It
you can
reminded
see
me.
directly through.
It reminded me there was this real in like the Texas Chainsaw remake they did in like 2004. There's a scene where they pick up this hitchhiker who was apparently like a victim of Leatherface's family, and they can't deal with what they went through, so they shoot themselves. And the camera is panning in on the driver's face, and then it pans outward, and it's showing all the reactions of the people in the car. And the
Mhm.
further it gets out, the more you realize it's panning through the hole in this
Who's
person's head.
whose head? Yeah.
And one of like that movie ain't great, but that scene is one of the greatest like effects I've ever seen. And I saw that, I
Until
was like,
this punch.
I love, yeah, that punch was like that. Yeah, that's about what I was expecting. Yeah, all right, cool.
Yeah, okay.
Shit.
I always knew vampires were strong. I would expect this to happen most of the time when they punch people, but for some reason it never did. Okay, this man has a hole in his head. All right.
Now, where's it? Where's my damn Vampire in Brooklyn remake? Damn it! Where,
Right. Where's that one at? Where's that Eddie Murphy vampire? This ain't it. This ain't it. So Louis is now fully under control of Lestat. Blah, 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 blah. So he's spending more and more time. That's pretty much episode one, folks. We took too long to get through episode one, so we're gonna skim through the rest of these episodes. Really,
yeah, we're
really
gonna
good.
breeze. We're gonna breeze through 2 and 3 especially because most of it is just Jesus Christ. Oh my God. Oh shit. Okay. Anyway, the next 2 episodes are it's all good, but it's mostly just like Louis learning how to be a vampire and accepting what he is. Because after and the Lord's
Right.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. I
yeah.
mean,
I
yeah.
think he also finishes turning him into a vampire, and I don't think they show it,
Yeah.
but I think they also end up fucking again in the church.
They fuck again in the church, and then he finished turning him like into a vampire in the cemetery. Remember, it was in the cemetery,
Yeah,
and
that's right. And then
That's when Louis was like, he can taste life.
they tried to go. They tried to go for the blood, and Lestat said, "No, no, 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 no. You don't go for the blood of the dead. We only get on the blood of the living," which is a thing.
For Louis.
But it's also a thing where this is a classic horror thing that people don't really understand. The difference between zombies and ghouls are zombies eat the flesh of like a living victim. Ghouls eat the dead. Same for vampires. Vampires go after the blood of the living, but if they start going after like dead or expired blood,
They
it
become
turns them into
tainted.
more of a ghoul.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like that's I like that they sure to point that out because that's very it gets forgotten a lot in a lot of media, but that's a very important rule.
Right. You don't drink from the dead. You drain them to the point of them about to die, and then you just kill them off. usually snap their neck or whatever the case may be. You know, so during pretty much episodes 2 and 3, you you see the internal struggle of Louis being a vampire and wanting to hold on to being a human. Nah,
They're not supposed to. I think recent past like 10, 15 years of media, they just have them eat whatever they find, but they're not supposed to.
right.
That's different from other things.
Usually most zombie people are eating people, and you hear the victim screaming as they get nibbled on. Ah! All
And like
that.
once they're dead, they stop, and
And
if
go
there's
look for
enough that
something
thing
else.
left, if there's enough that thing left over, they turn to a zombie as well. But they
Right,
don't snack on the dead things because they'd just be eating each other at that point.
right. Episodes 2 and 3 focus a lot on Louis wanting to remain human, and you also see the distance that has grown between Louis and his family. The the mother, like we said, straight up and down blames him for Paul's death. She doesn't like that he's in an open homosexual relationship. She plain and simple says she doesn't like Mr. Lion Cub. She doesn't like him at all. Okay. The
Louis
Paul
also
hate has
kind of
definitely transferred.
that's right. Paul's soul has gone into his mother, and Louis also scares his sister because, and he tells this to Daniel in present time. This is when he started to not be okay with eating
Human.
living people.
He almost
He
ate
was
his
holding one of his
his
nephews,
niece.
niece,
His niece.
uh, hold one of his nieces. They just gave birth to twins, right? Um, hold one of the nieces, and while his sister walks away, the urge to feed,
Is destroying him. Mhm. Pretty
and the
much.
next, and then for like 10 minutes, Daniel's like, Louis, what happened to the baby? Louis, did you eat the baby?
Louis kept
And
going
like,
with the story. Louis kept going on with the story for the for the longest. Oh, it was his nephew. Okay.
nephew, okay.
Louis kept going on with the story for the longest, and then finally Daniel Malloy asked him, "Louis, did you eat the baby?"
And he
And they do.
says no. He says he didn't, but later on we see that sometimes Louis changes the way things are done, or he'll like, because in a moment we're like, was it raining that night? And no, it wasn't raining. Wait, yes, it was. No, it's Louisiana. So like you see the scenes in the past change when
Hmm.
he stumbles on himself. So I don't know if he didn't eat the baby. He might have really.
Well, they showed that the baby was on the floor by
They did,
itself.
but again, it's an unreliable narrator because as far as is that baby alive, there's no like records that we've seen of that member of his family making it to anything.
No,
All we
didn't we
know is what he
see?
said.
No, we saw the twins later on.
We saw them in the flashbacks, but we don't see like written record of any of this. Is my thing. So he could have lied and said that he didn't, but he might have.
I don't think he did, because I think that's when it became the turning point of him deciding. In Louis' mind, he was like, you know what? I'm going to feed on animals. Louis is eating everything from rats, cats, fish, dogs, mogs, hog mogs, chitlins. He's eating every part of He's eating every animal to avoid eating humans, and the stat is pretty much fucking with him. Like,
Well, that's even trying. He's like, what about these people that deserve to die?
right? He's like, would it
Like
become like
criminals.
vigilantes?
Yeah, criminals walking the streets, and he said this person steals from his mother, and Louis goes, "That's not enough to warrant death." And
Yes.
Lestat says, "Yeah, but
It,
what if it starts out as stealing from his mother, and it goes to stealing from banks, robbing people on the streets, maybe it ends up getting the murder?" Which is a very important like philosophical and moral question of at what point what crime leads to what can you kind of let somebody get away with. Don't have to get into the opera. Yeah, Lestat,
Oh,
because again, Lestat
actually,
is not
I'm glad you
with
brought that up,
humanity.
Knox. I'm glad you brought that up, Knox, and thank you for joining us and being interactive with us, Knox. That is something I do want to bring up because even though they are in an open relationship, Louis still has to play a certain role when they are out in public. He has to play Lestat's servant, like his butler. So when they go to the opera, he waits until Lestat sits. He, what you call it? He waits until the lights go down, and he stands behind Lestat just the same way a servant went until the lights go down, and then he joins him.
Just to not draw attention to whatever they're doing. Yeah,
It's
there is
yeah.
there's a point where he does kill. I think it's like the captain of the police force. Louis does
Hmm.
drinks his blood, and then Lestat goes into for going after someone that is going to be noticed. Like this person's going to
Right.
be listening, and it's going to draw attention. And Louis brings up the idea that even with this freeing power that he has, he still feels like a slave to Lestat.
Safe. Stop.
And Lestat brushes it off like, "Oh, you're just being. This is a human thing that you're thinking. You need to like." But it's another moral thing that Louis having to deal with.
Hmm. At the end of the day, Louis is dealing with a lot of human emotions. He is still human on every single level, which is, you know, I'm glad Dan you brought up that he sarcastically said white teacher, black student, but not equal. Listen, Danny Malloy
Pointed
is
out a lot
getting
of
in his
stuff.
ass.
Yeah, Daniel's pointing out a lot of stuff, and he keeps. There's a point later on where he says it's interesting because I've read all the stuff about toxic relationships, and it's like you're still in love with this tormentor that you had all
Yes,
those
yes,
years ago.
yes. Hmm.
And Louis, like, instead of accepting what he was just said, he takes a book that Daniel wrote and gets to a passage about his ex-wife to just kind of throw it back in his face,
Hmm.
which is, you know, kind
I
of
mean,
that shows a lot about Louis, really.
the the person that Lestat the person that Lestat gets mad at Louis for killing is the politician who was busting the head. That's who Lestat gets mad at Louis for killing.
And this is after they start kind of breaking down Louis' business, right? This is a
Right. What happened was they put in Louis started making fucking money. Opened up
too
his
much.
own some whorehouse with the works where everybody money because back then it was still, segregation. Only blacks, only whites, blah blah blah. Louis was pulling in everybody. No, definitely couldn't. They could not let a brother get it. They was mad he had the best property. They was mad he was getting all the customers, and he was especially getting the military customers. And the reason I bring this up that he was especially getting the military customers is because there was a particular military gentleman who was looking for Louis, and they find each other, and they're sitting there talking. And as they're sitting there talking, you think, okay, they're old childhood friends. It's not a problem. You know what I mean? Yeah, Louis don't. I mean, I'd have killed him.
Mhm.
I mean,
That
I'd
was
have killed
yeah.
him.
That's what it was, and that was mhm, that's right. Because he was starting to also like read minds, and he was already dealing with stuff of like I'm having to put up with things that I don't want to, but now he's got the power to shut people up.
And don't use that word.
Hmm.
I'd have killed him.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
when because he had
that's
the no whites allowed sign, and then
But
the police start breaking windows and all that
yes,
shit.
they start breaking windows and start burning shit down and things of that nature. So, but the army gentleman that Louis is talking to, I'm thinking like they're childhood best friends, and they drive off to the bayou, and I'm thinking, oh, it's like a childhood spot where they used to go and stuff like that. Where they may be a clubhouse for them to sit there. Well, it is a childhood spot. That's where they used to drive onto, so they can get their munch and crunch on back then. Come to
Yeah,
find
this
out,
is kind of
Louis
found out
was
that Louis
have
has
had
always been gay.
right always been gay, and he had this secret relationship with this guy, and
I don't know if gay is the right word, but I mean, I guess he still
he
had things for Lily. Bisexual.
bisexual. He said, but later on he says that when somebody asks him, has he always liked men? He said, no. I mean, yeah, I used to pretend that I liked women as much as I could.
Mm, yeah, good point.
So Louis, we found out Louis pretty much always been gay.
No,
Right in the swamp.
I got a little,
You
I
gotta
got a
you
little
gotta gotta
button.
get the you gotta get them skeety bites on your ass. You ain't really do it if
Yeah,
you ain't get some skeety bites.
if you don't got a little mud in your ass crack when you're done, did you really have
Did you-
was it really good?
Was it really butt fucking if you don't have some mud in between the crack of your
Jesus Christ. Oh, God.
So that's wild on every level. But
But
we
so
got
Lestat spies on them doing that.
right. Now the stat at in the meantime can pretty much do what he wants. But he is very much jealous anytime Louis shows the slightest interest in anything. And Louis actually fucked this dude. So the stat is hot, boy. The stat is hot. So what does the stat do? The stat unga bungs him. The stat sucks and fucks.
Mm-hmm.
That's what the stat does, baby. We gonna suck. His name is Buck. He drives a truck and he's here to fuck. That's the stats motto.
It is.
Okay.
So uh, let's cut to the point where Louis finally goes off the rails.
And
Let's get to him, and he goes down to the alderman.
he gets to the alderman because they have shut down every single one of his businesses. And once he put for colors only on his businesses, they were pretty much shutting Louis down. They knew that going to lose business. He wasn't going to make as many people come in and stuff like that. So he gets to the alderman's house and full on vampire mode. And
And
Alderman is talking that hot shit because
he is.
he don't
He's
know.
like, it's not personal, Louis. It's just business and all that shit. And as he's trying to weasel his way out of it, Louis just says, "Why's your heart beating so fast?" Which, as you know, anyone knows that like means that they're nervous and they're lying. And at that point, he says, you're thinking about your family and why that you're happy that they're not here, that you sent them away, and you're right. It's good that they're not here. He goes over to his desk, grabs a gun, and he shoots Louis. And Louis says, "It's okay. I'll let you reload,"
Reload.
which
It's
is so cold blooded.
right because
Because
he let off the whole
the
six
whole
rounds. There's the
mm-hmm,
whole 6 rounds in Louis. Hot, 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 hot.
he just looks down. Like, that's okay. Let's reload.
Hmm.
It's just oh my god! Like when I heard that, I sent Kenny a message saying that is the coldest fucking line I have heard in so long because it's like his face of just like that didn't do shit to me. And then the next thing you know, he walks up, the alderman's hand is gone, and then we see what's left over of him on a fence
Yeah,
to an
that
estate.
says it says for whites only.
Hmm.
And because of that, this motherfucking town gets burned. They fuck down.
Hmm.
Every business on that strip burnt to the ground, burnt to the ground, burnt to the ground. All right,
And Louis decides to have a little hero moment
so to say,
because he hears
a
uh,
cry
a cry.
in in the fire. Now, in the book, this is when see in the book, this is when Louis is at his desperation point,
Mm.
and in the book, and
His heart and then left half of him hanging on the fucking
fence,
fence.
right?
Like, God damn.
So, oh yeah, mm-mm.
Yeah,
Like you
it's
said, it's okay for
he's
me to do something, and like I heard you dancing in his heart. Like, come on, don't be like that, boy. Don't be
you
like
know how like
that.
most
Don't be
like
like.
anytime people are like, "Oh, I want to have like an open relationship," there's always one of them that's like, "Yeah, open relationship, yeah, that's fun," but they really fucking
Mm,
hate it.
right, that's what
That's
it is. That's exactly
that's
what.
what's not.
That's exactly what it is. So Louis hears this cry, and he rescues this little girl. The little girl's name is Claudia, and in the movie, this would be Kirsten Dunst's character.
Mhm.
Now, like I was saying, in the movie and in the book, this is when Louis is at his desperation point. Kind of, he finally in the movie he finally succumbs to his thirst and drinks Kirsten Dunst. All right, he pretty much just about drinks it. But here they switched it up. He didn't do it. Lestat did it, and that plays a factor because due to the fact of Lestat the being Claudia and Louis' maker, he can no longer get thoughts, but they can communicate to each other telepathically. So he brings her to Lestat. He's like, "Come on, change her, please, help her. She's pretty much burnt, almost burnt to a crisp." Lestat is like, "What do you want me to do with her? Like, where am I supposed to bite? She's burnt everywhere. Where am I supposed to bite?" All right. So she he finally begs Lestat, and he's like pretty much crying, and Lestat finally changes her, and what they don't realize is they have created a little killing machine. Claudia in the movie and the book is she loves her daddy Lou and Uncle Les.
Daddy Lou and Uncle Les. Baby Trap Lou. Yeah, it is interesting. Uh,
Right.
I really have liked the changes they've made for this show. Um,
Yeah, it's there've been slight changes, and the thing about it is those slight changes have worked to the advantage of because you just like we were talking about with House of the Dragons, how it was a book. You can have things you know you have your premise on what you can do, and this is a good example. They have their premise on what they can show on what they want to do, and they're making little tweaks and changes to fix. Like they're showing what you should do. Now, if they
the end game and major plot points are going to be the same. It's just how you get there that might be a little, and that I think that's how you're supposed to do it.
right,
I think you're probably supposed to do
so
it.
we get to the point where they have made Claudia. Yeah,
Highly recommended.
I highly
Highly
do.
recommended, especially for you.
Right.
You would love this shit you're
Definitely would.
free. You're free.
Yeah,
You really get into this.
you would love it. You would love it. So they make Claudia, and in Louis's mind, pretty much he made himself a daughter. You know, they give her everything that she wants. She sleeps with Louis in his coffin. So
And the whole fourth episode is Daniel reading the diary of
oh,
Claudia.
Claudia. Daniel is now reading the diaries of Claudia, and before she started calling them Daddy Lou and Uncle Les, there was the white angel and the black angel.
Hmm.
She said, and then I realized they weren't no angels. They
Hmm.
weren't no men. These were the devils.
And because she's so young, she has a lot more energy. So much. Yes,
Yes.
yes. It's such a thing that happens, especially the past like decade, where they do it just for the sake of it, and it feels very. White Angel bit me.
Right.
They do it where it's like it's just for a little bit of pandering and just to like it doesn't feel like they kind of thought about it. But here, it does weave together pretty much perfectly.
Yeah.
They did a very good job of slightly adjusting everything that needed to be adjusted, but everything still feels like every character still feels like they should.
Hmm. And they make Claudia, and she immediately has a thirst for it.
Oh, it does not take her
Immediate,
long. It does not take her
immediately
long.
has a thirst for it. And they take her out, and they try to get her to eat someone because they see like someone who pretty much worth it. And she's like, Your girl gets a whiff of something.
She's gone.
Phew!
And I love that because you just hear Lestat and Louis go, Claudia, get back here, young lady. Get back
And
in the car.
and Lestat is fed the fuck up.
He's
The stat is
he's
so
so
far
tired.
removed from being a human. He is fed the fuck up with this little girl and her questions, this little girl and her actions. He is fed the fuck up already. Not realizing like this is what happens when you have and he's like, yo, you have a teenager. What the fuck do you expect?
Like
Fuck
he's
do you
getting that
expect?
because like how much they can hear. He is hearing her writing in her journal while they're trying to sleep, and it's driving him nuts. Uh, it's so good. It's just the way that they both interact with Claudia is so great. It's but anyway, she goes off and she goes for her first kill, which is a cop, um, and she, I mean, drains this dude dry, bone dry, and Lestat and Louis have to catch up to him to take care of the body. They get back to they get back to their estate, and they're trying. Louis is trying to tell her that you have to be careful with who you pick. That it's dangerous to just go after whoever you want, and a lot of other things that kind of go just in one ear and out the other. She's not really paying attention. She's still hungry, and she's telling them, "I'm so hungry. Just let me eat a little bit more." And Lestat is trying to get through to her that you can't take more than so much. You don't need to overfill yourself. And as he's saying that, she's already moved on to her next victim, someone on the streets playing, playing music because they're in fucking, I think they're in New Orleans. So they're like someone's playing some jazz music on the street. And you hear it, and all of a sudden, the instrument hits the ground, and she is just diving into this guy's throat. The bloodthirst is there. She started. I think Louis wanted her to be more like him, but she has taken after her creator more than Louis did. The sedation, yeah. Which, to be fair, she did. But you know, So she gets no kill, and the rest of this episode is Claudia just trying to adjust and listen and learn from them. And she begins to get closer to Lestat because Lestat's teaching her how to hunt, essentially. Um, and then we get to a point where Louis gets a phone call, and Daniel's reading the diary up to this point, and Claudia's talking about how these are the good times, these are the best times she's ever had. We'll get to the point where they're watching movies that are now being made, and they watch Nosferatu, and they think it's hilarious because it's such a poor representation of vampires. We see Lestat walking around their residence, like Nosferatu, and they're just laughing, having a great time. And then he gets the phone call, and then the diary, she says, that phone call was when the good times ended. Louis' mother has passed away. And they go to visit her. They go to visit the family. And Louis' sister and her husband now ask, about what's going on. Oh, now he has a daughter. Oh, now you've got a kid. You and that man have a child together. Louis explains that she was adopted after the fires. They're just trying to give her a place to call home, and that's when it's brought up that I don't know if he has full ownership of the house or it's something they're trying to get from him. But his sister and her husband want the property that belonged to their mother and offer to buy it. They can't buy it fully outright, but they will pay in increments and like monthly payouts, which Louis just flat out denies. It's like I watch a sitcom on the vampire. They were. I really loved that interaction we got. It was real. It only lasted a few minutes, but it brought a little humanity to them, to Lestat especially. As Louis' white daddy. And so now we see, more of a wedge and divide. At this point, Louis is pretty much done with his family. That was more so the case before this. There was a moment before this, a few years before, where he tried to come visit his sister and her kids, and his mother refused to let him in, and he busted the door down without even trying, just like pushed it and just shot through the hallway, almost hit his sister, and he was told to leave.
No, he was told to get the hell out.
Told to get the hell out.
Yeah, pretty much.
So this divide has been getting bigger and bigger since then, and at this point, it's just done. So after the funeral, we get more of Claudia's story, where she's saying that she's kind of smitten. She's bit by the love bug of this this like carriage driver, Charles, yeah, and they end up going on a date.
What happened was the way she meets Charles is Claudia has pretty much a revelation of the fact that she's not getting older. As far as the way she looks, it's her 19th birthday. If she's 19, but she has she's like, I'm 19, and I'm not, right.
Yeah.
So Claudia decides she's going to dress like a 19-year-old, dress like an older woman. So she has on her fancy duds, and she's walking through the street at night, and she can overhear the white women saying, "Look who played dress up in her mama's closet."
Mm-hmm.
So she's getting angry, pretty much getting ready. Right. She's getting angry, pretty much getting ready to eat them, and a horse scares her. And as she's sitting there, as she turns her head to, and she's getting her composure because they tell her, don't eat nobody. They pretty much gave her the warning about eating random people just because. So they like don't eat nobody. She gets herself under composure and she turns around and she sees Charles and he's like, I don't know what Schnitz or whatever the hell the horse name is or whatever. And she pretty much falls in love at first sight. Like she wants him, and he pretty much he courts her very over a course of time. He's courting her. He She comes outside every night at 9:15 just to see him driving by because the person that he works for lives along that way. So he has to drive that route. So she comes outside and stands on her balcony every day at 9:15 to see him driving by.
Please look
And
up. Please look up.
if he looks up, he likes me. If he doesn't, she pretty much is saying in her head, if he looks up, he likes me. If he don't, I'm gonna eat him. That's pretty much what she's saying.
Not does he look up. He leaves uh,
Flowers,
flowers by her house.
flowers with a little note.
And there's this little scene that I like where she's running down the stairs and Louis like, "Hey, young lady, no running in the house." I don't know why. I just thought it was nice. Just Louis and Lestat are just like by the fire, reading, drinking some wine,
And
waking up.
she, I don't, I stepped away for a second, so I don't know if you had the chance to mention it on how she says Uncle Lou and Daddy Lou and Uncle Les funny way of showing their feelings for each other.
No, we didn't get to that. No,
Oh,
when they get in the
that
coffin.
right. They forget they try to be like, okay, Margo, this is something you don't
Like
understand.
parents try to be like parents, try to
Hold on.
sneakily
Oh
do this
no, but
shit.
Margo, this is something you don't understand. When you have kids, as a parent, you have to master something called ninja sex. Okay? It's the art of getting some without a bed movement, a sound, or your clothes moving. Okay? It has to be precise, quick, and to the point. Because when you have young kids under teenage ages, they like to come in your room all times at all times. All right? So you have to master. So being a vampire should be dope for this type of situation. You figure you got two vampires, they can be silent, stealthy. They forget she's a vampire, so she hearing all this go down, and she like, oh my god, like oh my god,
They didn't.
like
It
it's
was the second she got
the
into her
second
coffin.
they told her it's night time. Your man hit him with the psst, psst, bring that ass here, boy.
She pops that lid up just enough to see, and you just see them like tiptoeing
Tiptoe
over the
through
Louis.
the window in the open.
They even look over at her coffin to make sure it's closed. They must not have fucking paid attention at all.
Not even. Not even. And like, come on, these motherfuckers is vampires. You know that shit is animalistic.
Oh my god.
Motherfuckers
Oh
in
my
there.
god. Yeah.
Motherfuckers in there. So she can hear all this as she's writing in her book. Oh my god, Daddy Lou and Uncle Les sure do have a funny way of showing. And when she first initially said it, she's riding in the back of the car, and she, what you call it? She sees Lestat caressing Louis' shoulder. Listen, after that night, she knew two things. One, Charles was feeling her, and two, Uncle Les was feeling Daddy. Okay, that's what
Side
she
note,
knew.
the way they got her coffin was great. They showed them going to the
Oh,
place to get the coffin.
They show her go. They go into the to the mortuary to go to a coffin. Louis like, she's
Yeah, she's a heart
terminal. We just trying to
disease.
make, we just trying to make the best of her days. And she's in the pink casket. This one is perfect.
I
It's so
love it.
soft. And the dude is like, what the hell? What she mean? She's like, this one, I love it. Can I have it, please, please? My man is sitting there like, all right, I think y'all should. And as soon as he gave the look,
Hmm.
Lestat gave him that, oh, you want to be nosy look? Okay, I got something for nosy people. Louis looked like, God damn it, he about to eat his ass. All right, close the
Like,
shade.
not even angry about it, just like, God damn it.
Yeah, God damn it. Now, one of the big things that I mentioned was the fact that they don't have that Louis and Claudia have a special connection because Lestat made them. They can talk to each other, um, you know, telep- um,
Telepathically.
yeah, telepathically. Thank you, telepathically. So Claudia has a lot of questions, and she asks them of Louis because they can speak. So that's how they get to become. That's more of a father daughter bond that they have together. Like they can speak to each other without Lestat knowing what's going on, and he gets pissed about it, right? And the day that Claudia finds out what the incinerator is and what it is for is the day that her heart is broken, pretty much. Now, we mentioned that Claudia fell in love and stuff like that, and how she was on a date with Charles. And remember, she's a vampire. She doesn't eat human food. Takes her on a little sweet date, takes her to a, ice cream shop. Sitting there, and he's like, "What's the matter? You don't like it?" She plays it off. No, I just want to savor every moment of it. Oh, pretty cool or whatever.
It's a good line considering what she's doing. Yeah.
Right.
Nice.
No, it's a good line considering what's going on. She just wants to savor every moment of it. So they get back to the little stables, and things is getting hot and heavy. Claudia doesn't think about part of the lifestyle. She just want to get to the fuck part of the lifestyle. Claudia's getting her little fuck on.
Let those
Claudia
animal
don't
instincts let loose.
bang 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 bang.
She
Let
was clanging, and then she started fanging.
thingin'. And unfortunately, she did not leave enough because she tried to bring him to Lestat, but Lestat said, "What the hell am I supposed to do? You drained him dry."
Like not like there was nothing left. And
You dr-
Lestat, because again, Lestat's pretty cold to the whole death of human. I mean, they're beneath him. They're like a subspecies. He doesn't care. So she's crying about this, and he says, "What am I supposed to do?" And he lifts up an arm and lets it go, and
right,
just drops. Like it's dead. The
right,
unit
and
is dead.
then she finds out what that black thing is for in the back because it's the first time she has to burn the body on her own.
And that is fucked. That she has to burn the body of her first
Her
true
first
love.
crush, her
Hmm.
first crush, her first. She has to burn it, and Lestat doesn't give two shits about it.
And she goes to turn away, and he goes, "No, no, 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 no!
No, no,
You're gonna
you
watch
did
this."
this. You did this.
She
You gonna
he
watch
opens
this
her
shit.
eyes like that dude from the Bird Box. Like you're gonna see, you're gonna see. Do you see?
No, no,
And I mean, again, like we were saying before, they show the violence. They showed this man's skin melting
melting.
off of his face, the jaw popping off as he slowly is just turning to ash and dust.
And I'm sitting there like, well, Mongo, you have got me watching a show that has a lot going on, and I am all for it.
Louis back in the present time talking to Daniel, and he's just, yeah, that she was never the same after that. No shit.
Shit.
Yeah, who fucking would be?
And Daniel calls Claudia a band-aid, a kid band-aid for a broken marriage.
Mm-hmm.
Louis at first takes offense to it and then goes, that's kind of what she was.
I do like the relationship that they're showing in the show between Daniel and Louis, where Daniel is giving him the cold, hard reality of his life.
Right.
Louis tried to not
Oh,
really dig into that much, even as it was going on.
and part of the reason that Daniel is doing this is, I don't know if we brought this up, Parkinson's.
Yeah, Daniel's.
And his days are pretty much numbered. He's has Parkinson's, and he has, because he transfusions also,
Mhm.
because he was trying to skip out and I guess early and go do a transfusion, and they told him, "Oh, no, you'll have your transfusion done here. We've
Mhm.
spoken to your doctor. He's already given the okie dokie. You all right? You ain't got to leave." Because I think Daniel knows at some point it's looking like he's being, and he said it too. He said, "All these meals, what are you, butter fattening me up before the kill?"
Fattening me up. Hmm.
He's eating the best meals. He's getting the best doctor's treatment, getting the best blood for his transfusions.
Best drinks, best sleep he's ever had in a long time. Like it's really they're fattening up the pig.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see what happens with those two at the end of the season, I guess, um, or how long this goes. Because again, this Interview with the Vampire is the first of many, many books. I think it's over 10 books of the Vampire
Right.
Chronicles. Um, so I'm curious to see how far we get into this. But um, man, what a first 4 episodes of this show. I Holy shit. And it came right at the perfect time because House of Dragons is over. I needed something else to watch. I've been watching the Chucky series, which is great for different reasons. I never really cared about Chucky that much, but the TV show is great.
I
Um,
gotta watch it. I didn't get into it yet.
it's the reason I got into it is because I started watching this YouTube channel called Dead Meat. So we're between two men. And I was like, yeah, that's a good line.
Yeah.
It's a good line. They talk
Claudia
about.
low key wanted details.
Oh, she did. Yeah.
She's like, I know where it goes on a man and a woman. Where's it going on a man and a man, homie? Let me know that.
We gotta figure this out.
Those two
Oh, the
plugs
birthday
work
party. Oh, the birthday
without a
party scene
socket.
is so good. The dead bodies. Oh, dude, that like you were saying, like them when they're together at the house, it's like a little sitcom, and it's really interesting to see them rat together. Yeah, Chucky's great. Kenny, I think you might get a kick out of Chucky. I didn't love the movies when I was growing up, but I have like a new appreciation of it just because of what they did with how much work went into making that fucking doll work in all those movies. Because it's like a real robotic thing. And
Yeah.
then the director, Don Mancini, he has a lot of interesting ideas. I think
it
you can
was a
watch the show. You can watch the show that and watch the movies. I think you'd be okay.
Here's the thing. It was a real robotic thing as far we had an actual little person playing
For
Chucky.
for parts of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We had an actual little person playing Chucky for certain parts of it, like the running scenes and stuff
When he's
like
like
that.
running up
But
the stairs. Yeah.
yeah, you know what I mean. And see, but I was also around when Chucky first came out, and I had a My Buddy doll in my house,
Oh shit.
which looks like a good guy
Hmm.
doll. My mom threw that shit away, threw it away. So yeah, yeah.
it's it's a really good horror comedy show. Um, if you like I gave it a shot last year when I was in the hospital. because you're just much on. You're watching USA Network, and that's when the show started popping off. And again, I didn't really care about Chuck at first. I watched it, like, damn, this is actually pretty interesting. Uh,
Okay.
and it dives into this kid who's gay and his father's not accepting of it. Uh, yeah, Don Mancini loves that series to death. Some movies weren't fantastic, some ideas weren't great, but he is stuck with it through and through. He uses the same actors, he uses the same people for like stunt coordination, for the lights. Like he has his crew that all just love this shit to death. So it's a what is it called? It's something of love, a work of love or something like that. But they all just care so much about it that you kind of you get invested just to see them succeed. Is my thing.
Okay. I'll give it
So
a I'll give it a shot.
it's on Peacock if you want to watch it.
Oh, it's good. Definitely give it a shot.
But all right, so going forward, we're going to be doing interview with a vampire
Saturday.
reaction Saturdays. Do you want to do 11 o'clock or 12?
Um, let's do the slot that we had.
Okay, so we'll be doing it around 11 o'clock Eastern
Ish.
time.
11 o'clock ish.
We're trying to.
Ish.
This is not going to be as long as these episodes usually go. We're going to make them under an hour because we don't want it to go longer than the actual episode goes.
Right.
This is just us catching up. We will be doing that, and then once this is over, we'll cover more things. If y'all have anything y'all want us to talk about, please let us
Let's
know.
know.
We'd love to get into different things. Once this only has 4 episodes left,
I believe so.
we're gonna need something in about a month. So, if y'all have any ideas, let us know. And again, if you haven't yet, you can follow us
Follow us at
here.
facebook.com/under the ring pod. And you can also follow us at twitch.tv/under the ring pod. You can also follow us on our personal Twitter pages. You have the man behind the boards, you have Greg Bush, SK, and you have myself, Rock Ribs 44. We also have the rest of the UTR podcast members. We have Mr. Freshbeard. We also have the right answer, and we also have Moriel Mariente. That is your UTR podcast family. And we usually have a guest speaker of our boy Justin come out there, Justin D. Baxley. This is your UTR podcast family. So anytime you see any of those handles, you know who you're looking at. Once again, we're going to be doing this on Saturdays. Today we had to catch up, so Sundays, I know Saturdays before college game day, we have a pretty good, group of people going. Today was a great group of people. We appreciate everyone that joined us on this first episode. UTR presents Bad Blood, and we will be seeing you next week. Thank you very much.
You'll have a great